Hey, what's up everyone? Got a Corroded Battery on a Corolla. I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning this thing. First we're going to take the battery hold down off. If you're working on a different type of car, you might have a different style hold down, or you might not have a hold down at all, but either way we're going to get this off and set it to the side. As you can see, it has a lot of corrosion. So we're going to set that to the side. This little pole thing, it stays there stationary, so we don't have to worry about that. Next thing I want to do is get these battery lines disconnected from these clamps. Also, the clamps themselves have a 10mm nut attaching themselves to the battery. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start and just get these nuts loose. Start with the negative side. We'll save these nuts here. I should have started with the negative side, but do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get this negative wire off first. Go ahead and pull this off. Now, some cars don't allow you to disconnect the wire from the clamp, but most cars you should be able to. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off now. Alright, so I'm going to take the battery out and then I'll take the clamps off so I can have more room to get these off. As you can see, they're covered in corrosion. You can just kind of brush it away to get to these 10mm nuts. Again, this is on a Toyota. Most Toyotas are set up with this type of style clamp. Some Toyotas, the negative doesn't really come off the wire, but most of them do. So I got these 10mm nuts loose, and these clamps might be stuck on here. So what you're going to need to do is get like a screwdriver, a flathead, to wedge in here and break these free, or just anything you got that's flat. I mean, if you know, you can use a butter knife if you really need to. Just kind of put it in between where it's there's a little crack there, and you could get this loose. Sometimes they're really stubborn. But as you can see, it shouldn't take that much effort. So just go ahead and get this in here. Just break them loose. Be careful not to pull real hard on the terminals, because those terminals can break if you wrench on them too hard. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this battery off. Basically, just wipe all this off. Maybe just get a rag and clean it all off as best as possible. Make sure the caps are down. So I got this bucket here. I want to fill it with hot water. You could use like a hot water dispenser or a stove top, whatever. Just get a bucket full of hot water. Make sure it's really hot. And I'm going to drop these clamps in here. And the hot water will get rid of, I'd say, 90% of this corrosion that's on these, if not all. You just let them sit in there for a few. And also with the battery hold down, you could dip it in here, depending on how much water you got in here. Also, after the clamps are out, I'm just going to dump the rest of this hot water on this hold down to get all this corrosion off. And this hold down will probably need some scraping with like a flathead or a scraper to get the other corrosion off on it. But as you can see, as I pull this out, the water's not clear anymore. It's blue. It's all that corrosion on there. And the clamp, it's pretty much free of all that corrosion. It looks like the protective little layer is gone. That's why it's pink. And I'll put some battery protectant on this after I reinstall it. Go ahead and get the other one out. Yep, all the corrosion's gone. And you could buy these, you could buy new ones if yours are too far gone. You could buy them at Toyota. And I'm just going to finish cleaning this hold down. I poured some water on it, and I'm going to scrape the rest off, or scrape it off with a scraper, or whatever needs to be done. Once you have most of the corrosion off, we could just spray paint this. I just use a gloss black and just paint it, you know, get it, the paint kind of acts as like a preventative too, because if it has a good layer of paint on it, it's less likely to get all corroded like it was. So I'll spray this and let it sit for a little bit. Alright, cool. Now, inside the vehicle, this wire, it still has corrosion on the contact. You could put it in your hot bucket and dip it if you can, if you have the room to do that, or you could just scrape it off or scrub it off. Same with the negative side. I can just probably clean that off with like a rag or something. If it's in the wire, then you should kind of cut the wire a little bit, the insulation, and try to get it out as much as you can. Don't cut the wire in half, just cut the insulation. What I did with this is I just dipped it in this little bucket. And then this battery tray, these usually come out real easy. And I'm going to go clean this off. You can just wipe it with a rag, or if you got some hot water, you can just put some hot water on it. Just get it clean. You know, it's not that hard. So I got my battery set up. It's all ready to go in. My tray's all clean. Got my battery in, and then got my clamps here. I'll go ahead and install these. I'm gonna just keep them. They don't look too great, but they'll do just fine. Go ahead and put them in. And like I said, you could buy new ones from Toyota if you don't want to use your old ones. This is the positive one. I'll just put the clamp on with the 10 millimeter. Get that tight. Got my negative on over here, and these 12 millimeter nuts go right here to hold the wire on. Make sure you put the negative one on last. And the reason that is because the negative side is less likely to spark. It'll still spark a little bit, but not as much as the positive side. But I'm going to go ahead and get these tightened down. Go ahead and get this side tightened down. Okay, now I'm going to use this stuff called Seal Glide just to put it on the terminals, just to protect it a little bit. There's all kinds of battery protectants out there. Just a cautionary thing, if you use the sprays, just try not to get it. Sometimes the sprays kind of seep in between the terminal and the clamp, and they can prevent a connection. So I don't really try to push this stuff into where the terminal is. I just kind of do it on the clamp to protect it. And then the positives will usually have like a little cover. I know Fords have these little covers too. You could get that on to help keep the positive side protected. I got my new hold down. Well, not my new one, but my newly painted hold down. It's going to go on. I'm going to tighten this back down, 10 millimeter bolt in the front, and then the 10 millimeter nut on that. This thing's, the name keeps slipping my mind, the pole, I guess, but I got that tightened down. And you could hit these with a little black paint if you wanted to, just to make it look right. But that's it, guys. So hopefully this video helps you out. Please like, comment, subscribe. Any additional information, thanks for watching.